Hi, and welcome back to Just Ask the Question. I am your host, Brian Kieran. With me is I to discuss Greenland, of all things, is retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, and I'm going to screw this up because I just practiced it, but with extensive experience in U.S. government and corporate settings, specializing in diplomacy, Ailey and Omar. You retired as a U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, and I want to thank you for joining us here today. You were in Denmark for 3 years. You know what's going on over there as much as anyone. So I guess, Ali, I'm going to start out by asking you, what is going on over there? What what has been our relationship? What is the prelude to this? We've been allies with Denmark for years, but now it seems to be teetering. I'm going to let you unpack some of that. So if you can, it's all yours.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Brian, for having me. This is something that's pretty close and dear to my heart because the 3 years I spent as a army attaché over in Denmark, I I just want to lead off with saying the Danes were just incredible partners and allies with us. Anything we reached out to them, looking for their help to do. As the U.S., they always had our back, and they were always willing to work with us and listen to us. Because they saw us really as their number one strategic partner. I would say even before NATO, before other European partners, they valued their relationship with the U.S. above all else. And that's what makes this, in my mind, an even more bitter situation.
And of course, when we're talking about bitter,
when I was there,
when we're talking about bitter, we're talking about the relationship because of Greenland, which of course occurred
yes,
because of the opening of sea lanes with the melting Arctic ice due to what? Climate change that this administration wants to deny. It calls the biggest sham ever. Yet at the same time, we're having to refocus our strategic partnerships in the Arctic region because of the fact that sea lanes have opened up. So that's the prelude going into Greenland. It's all yours.
yes, definitely. When I was there from 2016 to 2019, it became very apparent that sea lanes were opening up in the Arctic. Our peer competitors, Russia and China, were very cognizant of this as well. As we all know, the majority of the world's commerce moves by sea. And the opening of sea lanes in the Arctic means a lot of that commerce can move much quicker. A lot less fuel is used. So a lot of competition started to focus up there in the Arctic. And because of that, we started to see a lot of influence operations, especially by China in the Greenland, in the Greenland area. So what did that mean? We started to see the Chinese looking at buying property in Greenland. As soon as we would see that, and the Danes, of course, very aware of what goes on in Greenland. Though it is an autonomous, governed territory of theirs, they are very much still in charge of foreign policy and security for Greenland, and they're very good at it. And so, working with us together, they would immediately take actions to counteract that Chinese influence. So there was never any danger there of the Danes not being able to have their influence and make sure the Chinese were not gaining influence there. That's an important point I want to make.
Right.
So, so that was something that we were very much working on. We started to, as the U.S., work closer with Greenland on that, and based on that, we started to, as the U.S., we looked to open a consulate there. We said, hey, we need to be working with Denmark at improving ties with Greenland. We saw that the potential that this is going to be a part of the world that is going to increase in importance, and let's make the focus on that, and let's put effort towards that. Let's invest more in Greenland. Let's work together with the Danes and the Greenlandic people, the Inuit themselves, on helping with security ties. We already have a large base, Thule Air Force Base, up in the north of Greenland, which the Danes and the Inuit are happy to continue that relationship with us. It's nothing we had to force on them, and so
Quite
we
the opposite, right? It's
right.
actually quite the opposite. I mean, when I speak to people in Denmark and the government in Denmark, they're of the opinion, what the heck are you doing? We've given you, we'll give you guys anything that you want. We want you to be here. It would help our economy if you're here. We understand the safety. We're with you on this, right? I
Yes,
mean, this isn't
exactly.
anything that we had to twist arms to get.
No, and that's the whole point. The Danes and the Inuit themselves, the Greenlanders, there's no need to own or to control anything there. There is no need for any of this. They wanted to work with us. They've always wanted to work with us, and they've always seen us as their main partner. And that's what makes all of this so confusing. It really brings up questions about, are there things below the surface that drive this? We don't know. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, are there things that are going on in the administration or within our government that are below the surface that have other reasons or subtext to
Yeah,
this?
and we'll
Possibly.
get into that. But my question is, all right, so I want to refer to a paper that you wrote, and you can tell me what it was written for. It titled "Greenland's Critical Role in North America: The U.S. Way Ahead," by U.S. Army Foreign Area Officer Instructor Command and General Staff College, Fort Leavenworth. In your abstract, you point, in light of the rising importance of the Arctic caused by the melting of the polar ice, Russia is remilitarizing its Arctic territories. China is buying into Greenland and Denmark, and you talk about rare earths as well. So, is this not the impetus for it's listening posts that we need there? Correct for and we also need a presence on the ground, boots on the ground, which we have, right?
Yes.
You talk about three courses of action that will result in a solid ally and partner immune to great power competitors' influencing actions. Additionally, a strong leadership with Greenland will secure enhanced access to the Arctic, allowing U.S. and allied forces to perform sovereignty and domain awareness operations, along with search and rescue in increasingly busy sea and air lanes, and affirm security. So, outline, if you could, the three courses of actions. First, and they're yours, but I'll let you unpack that. But tell me what those three courses of actions are that we should be taking in Greenland.
Sure. I mean, first of all, just to help maybe any people listening to this to understand, Greenland it's a massive chunk of land.
Twice the size
Up
of
and down.
Texas.
Yes, it's massive. I've been there several times, and you really can't get an appreciation of it till you've flown over it, until you've walked the ground. And it's massive, totally uninhabited in terms of the interior, sparse inhabitation on the coast, usually locked in ice for a great part of the year, and just covered in glacier. And so it is a challenge. It is a huge challenge in order to populate and to invest in and to develop. So the biggest thing is domain awareness, just knowing what is going on around and in and over and under Greenland. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to build ties, closer ties with the Greenlandic government, the Inuit, because they're proud people. They want their autonomy, they want their independence. So let's work together with them. They would welcome investment, ties with the U.S. We have a very large and strong economy. They're, up to this point, the biggest impediment towards their independence from Denmark is they rely very much on Denmark in terms of subsidies for their economy. They have a very nascent economy still. So a direct investment and economic ties with Greenland would build a huge amount of goodwill, closer ties with us, strong influence, definitely pull them away from foreign influence like China or other countries. and it would build a great partnership. No need to own or control Greenland. They would be solid partner and ally, and it would help build their infrastructure, which would then help build the ability for us to increase that domain awareness. We would be able to work with them. They would, I'm sure, be happy to intelligence share, or to have that network of sensors, or now with technology now, domain awareness would work with drones or satellites. So then that would really secure our northern flank in that direction, and understanding what potential threats are out there.
So that's, you have first a whole of government diplomatic approach, cognizant and respectful of both Greenlandic and Danish interests with historical ties, which you've mentioned. Second, you're talking about finding opportunities to increase and invest in trade with Greenland. And let's be honest, there's 57, less than 60,000 people in a land area twice the size of Texas. The largest city, I pronounce it Nook, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, less than 20, fewer than 20,000 people, like about 19,000 people. Um, and then thirdly, you talk about improving military cooperation with Denmark's Joint Arctic Command Headquarters and forces in Greenland to further enhance interoperability and prepare U.S. forces to better operate in the harsh Arctic environment. Talk a
That's
little
right.
bit about that. From everything I've seen from Denmark, it's like, build a base, come over, Nosh, have fun, we love you. Why are you being such a nudge? But you tell me. That's what it seems like.
I mean, yes, we are large. The U.S. is the largest, most powerful military in the world, but Greenland and the North Atlantic and the Arctic Sea, the area around it, is massive. And it's not a place where we could just surge forces to sit around and wait and see what happens. It's a harsh environment. It takes a huge toll on personnel and equipment. So it's more about knowing what's going on around there and being able to surge forces if necessary. It's not like we need to park a bunch of equipment there and wait to see what happens. That's not realistic or necessary. So the fact that Denmark does not have, let's say, a lot of ships patrolling around or a lot of boots on the ground is not necessarily a failure on the part of Denmark. So the fact that the administration keeps coming back to, in terms of that we need to control Greenland and that Denmark isn't doing a good job of securing Greenland, I think is a false assumption, and um, it's just not. This is not the way to go about it. Working together, yes, bringing the resources of the U.S. in conjunction with the Kingdom of Denmark, our NATO allies, Canada, which has a lot of experience uh, in that kind of environment, and as we do as well with our forces in Alaska, the Norwegians, other Arctic countries, we could secure Denmark in cooperation with our allies. I mean, sorry, Greenland in cooperation with our allies much better than grabbing this control of this territory, this country, and trying to do it alone. It would require massive investment and time on our part, because it really has very little infrastructure, and it's just such a harsh environment.
Right. And when you hear the president of the United States talk about the need to own, purchase, or I don't know, they're not banning or not writing out of the equation the chance of using the military to take it over. There's few defenses there. What would we? I mean, you're going to walk into a town of 19,000 people with what? What's the point? I don't get it. And you, having been there, maybe can explain to me what the heck it is they're talking about when they are we talking about an invasion? I mean, who the hell would invade Greenland?
No
I,
one's no one's going to invade Greenland. I mean, just to be able to logistically support a force there would be very difficult. If to put For a foreign country to put boots on the ground, um, that force uh, would easily be wiped out by any of our forces. It's just not sustainable.
how many people do we have there already?
Well, Tule Air Force Base we have, we have a few hundred. They're not like, it's an Air Force base. It's mainly about sensors there. It's not a, uh, let's say, a combat force. But the Danes have something called the Serious Patrol, which are kind of like Arctic Rangers. They're more a presence patrol that goes, they're impressive force in terms of, they go out on dog sleds and for half a year patrol around the less inhabited parts of Greenland. Because the thing is, it's just not necessary. It's a force is not just going to land on Greenland, and plant a flag. And if it does, you can then bring the forces you need, because it's about domain awareness. You just need to have the sensors to know what's going on, because then you can respond. There's no need to park a force on the ice, and
Who
wait.
the hell would want to?
Right, and it's huge. You could not. You could. It's just. It's not economically feasible or viable. It makes no sense.
So this is they've renamed it Patufic Space Base, but the Thule base that you're talking about, 150 people stationed there. Do we have people stationed elsewhere in Greenland?
Militarily, no, nothing of significance. So there was the Danes have their Joint Arctic Command,
Right.
and the Danes are working actively to increase their military footprint in Greenland. And to be honest, what you need in Greenland more is a search and rescue capability, because as the sea lanes open up and we start to get more traffic around Greenland, the larger danger is that cruise ships that do Arctic adventures, or cargo ships have an emergency up there. It's very difficult to get a rescue set up quickly, and it's a very harsh environment. People could be in trouble very quickly if a ship runs aground or starts to go down. That's what the bigger problem is having a search and rescue presence up there.
So we have a population of 57,000 in an area twice the size of Texas. We've got a base that has 150 people in it. They have their Arctic Command up there. Our base, by the way, according to this is just according to the DoD, was as many as 6,000 during the Cold War, but now reduced to 150. So we could probably easily expand back to, well, with less trouble, expand to 6,000 if we had to. Mostly for sea lane traffic, monitors of events. We need, of course, monitoring of the sea lanes. All of that does not tell us why Donald Trump would want to buy, purchase, invade, keep Greenland for himself. So I want to switch. I mean, I think we've covered the the what's going on. So here we go. I'm going to read just this is the New York Times. Greenland would be the largest U.S. land grab if Trump got his way. USA Today, U.S. officials say Greenland action could come within weeks or months. And we've got a picture of J.D. Vance pointing out at the landscape. Donald Trump says he wants ownership of Greenland. This is out of People, because, and this was what was said in the White House briefing room by the presidential press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, who said it's the act of control. We need more control over what's going on. That's why we need to own it. There has been a bill introduced. I can't believe this bill introduced to make Greenland the 51st state. I guess Canada is breathing a sigh of relief at this point. Uh, and then Al Jazeera has their own why Greenland and Europe might have to offer Trump concessions. The BBC says, talks about why does Trump want Greenland, and there's all kinds of speculations about rare earths, etc. But you have presented a couple of pieces that involve Praxis and Peter Thiel, and I don't mean Praxis for science fiction fans, the fictional moon that surrounded the Klingon Empire and blew up. This is actually a company. Maybe it's named after the science fiction movie. That I don't know. But there's all these questions. Why is Greenland so important? And I understand its need for national security. But here's the thing I was taught in college. For those who spent time there, one of the first things I was taught in political science is why would you take over a country and have to pay its bills and pave its potholes and put the kids in the schools and pay for all the stuff that you have to pay for, all the inner workings of a country, when you can affect their international relations and get what you want from that country. So why would we invade Greenland? What is the freaking point of wanting to own it and control it? And as I said, you presented a couple of things, and I'm not conspiratorial minded myself. And when I talk about this, suddenly I feel like I'm doing an episode of the Y Files, and I'm not gonna, go down. I'm not gonna be the vapor trail guy or the aliens have landed in my soup guy. But these are actual companies, and these are actual online websites that talk about it. So Ali, your thoughts? Yeah, I'll let you
Yeah,
unpack it.
I'm also
Why?
yeah. I don't like conspiracy theories either. I'm a facts guy, and so I mean, I just I do my research, and when I see some facts, I'll look at them. I'll try to connect some dots, and that's as far as I'll go. But I think it's important to point out some of those facts. And but before I go there, I just want to point out, Brian, that this afternoon is going to be quite pivotable to
Pivotal.
pivotal. Sorry, for Denmark, because they're meeting J.D. Vance, our vice president, and Secretary of State Mark Rubio are meeting with the Danish and Greenlandic foreign ministers. Lars Løkke Rasmussen, who I've met when he was the prime minister when I was the army attaché in Denmark. He's an extremely savvy politician, veteran politician, and the Greenlandic foreign minister, Vivian Motzfeldt. What angle they have, or what they're going to try to do or convince or parley with Vance and Rubio, I have no idea. I wish them the best, but we will see what comes out of that. And I understand, Stephen Miller had come out regarding this topic. One of the advisors, as we all know, to our president, and he was quoted as saying, "We live in the real world that is governed by strength, by force, by power." A very realist school of international thought, which is about that states are very self-interested. The world is an anarchic world order, but this is the reason why after the two world wars we put a system into place. The U.S., we ourselves founded in our interest to found the UN, NATO, WTO, IMF, to prevent the loss of life.
The Marshall Plan, which rebuilt all of Europe and are our allies, and now we're pissing on them. So
we're
we built this world order.
Exactly, we're dismantling it. We put it in because it's not perfect. Nothing built by man, right, is perfect. But 100 million approximately lives lost between two world wars. We thought we need to do something, and now we're going back to this realist thought of international politics. But so why are we going back to this? Why are we thinking we have to grab Greenland? That's what keeps me awake, at night, makes me think about these things. And because it also opens the door for what China can say. Oh, well, let's take Taiwan. U.S. wants,
right.
U.S. can take Greenland. Russia's like, well, it's okay. We're in Ukraine. They even have an excuse of grabbing people that are ethnically related to them, at least. What do we have with Greenland? The Inuit.
We like ice.
So that makes me look for reasons. And so I just doing research. I came across Praxis Nation, because they had been putting out some tweets or posts on X shortly after President Trump was elected about their CEO Dryden Brown going to Greenland posting that he was interested in buying Greenland. And for those that don't know, Praxis Nation is one of a few companies that have emerged in the past few years that are looking to establish some of these independent city-state type free trade zones, almost these independent.
Well, let me read about them off their. This is from their
Go ahead.
website. About Praxis. Praxis is the world's first digital nation, a home for the brave who strive for virtue and wisdom. Our purpose is to restore Western civilization and pursue our ultimate destiny of life among the stars. You can apply for citizenship there. Companies that have been built on Praxis, governments that are friendly to it. Praxis proposes Atlas, California. They have sovereign intelligence. It's declaration of this. I mean, this is a real. And then they define digital nations, internet native organizations with one, a shared culture consisting of a worldview, way of life, and identity. Two, an internal economy to develop internal capacities in a marketplace. And three, governing institutions that create and enforce laws pertaining to membership and conduct, formed to lead and advocate for its people. The next wave of crypto adoption requires crypto infrastructures integration into the core functions of society. So that gives you an idea of what they are. And on their website, they have all these, pictures of, I don't know, kind of looks like they're going Atlantis on us. But they have citizens from all over the world, 151,000 in 429 cities and 80 countries. They have this dedication of a way of life, your path to Praxis. And they talk about setting up an actual physical country, which I guess is Greenland. Is that what it is?
It appears that they're looking for places where there's not a lot of population or infrastructure, where they could set up one of their city states, and that Greenland kind of fits that bill. They are.
And this is linked to Peter Thiel, right? He wants to build the, quote, next great city in Greenland.
Right.
Funded to the tune of $525 million. Praxis aims to revitalize Western civilization, blah, 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 blah. So this is all a Peter Thiel thing, right?
Right. So the PayPal mafia, which we know, includes Elon Musk, who headed up Doge, Peter Thiel, obviously, who was a large...
and our ambassador to Denmark, right?
And
Howry?
Ambassador to Denmark, who is also part of the PayPal mafia. They are Thiel's a significant investor. He has a firm, an investment firm, Pronomos Capital, that is invested in Praxis Nation, and has also invested in some other of these city-state ventures, which some of them exist today. There's one in Honduras and one in Nigeria. And they have this kind of funny libertarian mindset where they want to create these city states that are free from government regulation and kind of Ayn Randish in sense of government stifles innovation, and they want to be free from the surrounding laws and have their own administration in a kind of authoritarian corporate CEO that runs the city and the country. And so, and we know that Peter Thiel was a significant contributor to the Trump and other administration election funds, and had a hand in Doge. And so it just makes one wonder, what if there are connections to this push to control Greenland, because the Danish government, obviously, though, and the Greenlanders, though very sympathetic to the U.S. and willing to work with us on many things, would not be pleased with the idea of building a separate autonomous city-state on the territory of Greenland.
And they probably wouldn't want that or condone it, and the only way we could do it is if we owned it. Yes. Is what you're saying.
Right.
Because here, here's the CNN play on it. This is from CNN, New York Times. Trump has downplayed the significance of Greenland's natural resources. We need Greenland for national security, not for minerals. but we have the potential already to take care of our national security interests with existing treaties, correct? But Trump's former national security advisor, Mike Waltz, suggested in January of 2024, no less, that Trump's focus was on natural resources and told Fox News that the administration's focus on Greenland was about critical minerals and natural resources. So the critical minerals and natural resources that he's talking about are the rare earths, correct? That are
Correct.
useful in computing and AI, etc. Is that
Yes.
and so it means the U.S., Russia, and China are interested in Greenland for the very same reasons, which is why China is investing there privately, why Russia has increased its traffic in the area. So I get why it's a national security concern, but it's a national security concern because of those strategic minerals. It isn't because of the ice.
No, and even those strategic minerals are kind of a long game because Greenland really has very little infrastructure, and and a lot of those minerals are locked beneath the ice. It's gonna be a long investment route to those. So I feel like these companies that are interested, this these Praxis Nation and Peter Thiel, they are more ready to take their ventures sooner, and giving them the opportunity and the green light is more a closer, more near term financial goal that that the administration might be looking for. Again, speculation on my part, but looking for reasons behind this idea of controlling or owning Greenland is just it just doesn't make sense from a security standpoint, in my opinion, and in my
Yeah, well, and you were there, so I'll take your
right.
opinion over mine because you were actually there, served, wrote the paper, good paper. Marco Rubio downplayed the use of military intervention. So my question is, if not military intervention, and like you said, all of this could be decided, or a lot of it could be decided this week. My question to you then is, what do you see? What is your fear? What is your hope going forward as to what occurs in Greenland? Start with your fear first. What are you afraid of that could happen in Greenland? And I'll preface it by saying, here's mine, that we antagonize them to such a point that NATO becomes irrelevant, or our former allies become just frenemies. We lessen the tie to Europe and our traditional allies in a Europe that we built after the World War II. That's my fear. And my hopes I'm going to pin on you, but let's start with what your concerns are.
Yeah, Brian. I mean, my fears pretty closely mirror yours. That we're going to keep pushing this to the point that Denmark, in one shape or another, tries to accommodate us, um, because they don't have. I don't think they have a lot of options, and if we really, really apply the maximum pressure, and it weakens NATO, possibly splinters it, and it emboldens, as I mentioned before, Russia and China in their own realist aims of taking territory that they believe they want, that is in their interest to take, especially Russians with the next step would be the Baltics, and especially if NATO splinters, that could be something very realistic for them,
Yeah.
And China with Taiwan. That's my big fear.
And what's your hope?
My hope is that the U.S. backs off on Greenland, and that we come to an understanding and a cooperation on the points that I've outlined in my paper, and we just move along in that sense, and that we
Well, knowing Donald Trump, he won't back off, but will he declare victory and negotiate a settlement
yes,
beneficial
and
to
that is
himself?
my hope, that maybe this is, he likes to see himself as a negotiator, and maybe this is his hard bargaining position in order to reach a settlement that he will find mutually beneficial in his view. And so maybe there is a point he's willing to settle at in between the position he's at now. And so that is my hope, that maybe he's going to settle for something that the Danes, the Greenlanders, and we will accept, that's not as harsh as what we're demanding right now.
And so, what would be your, if parting words to the American public? What would you tell the American public that they need to know about Denmark and Greenland that we don't? What's the most important thing? What do you want to drive home?
Danes have always been our friends, and the Inuit people have just wanted to be treated right, and they've just wanted to lead themselves. And we've been slipping on the moral high ground for quite some time, and this is our chance to maybe slow down that slide a little bit and show that we can be a trusted and reliable partner, and it's not just about power and control and selfish interests.
There you go. With that, is there, you wanted to, you have opened up something on Substack. If you'd like to give it a plug here,
Yes.
it's all yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. We, myself and my partners, my cousin Aslı Omer, and my colleague John Rosano, we've started a geopolitical world politics Substack called Grounded Perspectives. So please take a look and subscribe if you like what we're writing. And thank you for that, Brian.
Sure. And I want to thank you for joining us, Ali. It's been informative and enlightening. And we didn't even have to go into alien theories. So it was made my morning. I've had my coffee.
Well, thank you so much again for this opportunity, Brian. I appreciate your reporting and your journalism. And I look forward to maybe doing something again with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you back because I'm sure Greenland isn't going away. It's rather large.
Yes.
So with that said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is Just Ask the Question. I am your host, Brian Karam, and we will catch you next time.